Sure. So the poultry industry in Alabama is a major animal industry. So we have a pretty wide net of surveillance in the commercial flocks that go on all the time. So that's one early warning system that we have. Then we have a mechanism of sick bird calls and reporting those to us, and that's what really started this event last week, late last week, Thursday was a commercial flock had noticed that their normal mortality rate was picking up a little bit and they had some sick birds. So they called us. We got got the birds sampled and got them to our diagnostic lab. And Friday afternoon late, and Friday night, we had those birds tested positive for avian influenza, which is a virus. Simultaneously, in another part of the state, it was a backyard flock that the owner noticed sort of the same thing, that his backyard birds were sick and some of them were dying, and called us. We got some samples to our diagnostic lab again, same way, and they were tested at the same time. So Friday night we had the lab results back that those birds were positive for avian influenza. That's a good question. If I may start out with the wild birds, we really have no way to respond or to really help those. They're in the wild, and they can harbor this virus normally, and most of the time it doesn't affect them. But occasionally, throughout the years across the country, this in the whole United States, that virus about this time of the year when they're migrating, from north to south, as they potentially commingle with domestic birds, that virus will shed over and make its way into the domestic birds, which is actually a rare event that happens. That virus usually just hangs out and stays in those migratory birds. Well, occasionally there's this spillover. So what has happened is in the migration patterns in Alabama, there's been apparently this spillover from these migratory birds. So what the response then is in the commercial birds, we have a defined avian influenza response plan. It puts into place several things. We partner with USDA and many other state and federal agencies. Commissioner Pate at the department is informed, and we have again a dedicated plan that we respond to, and that involves creating a zone around where this index farm was, and we start sampling all the other commercial birds that's in that zone. We don't have to be quite that detailed on the backyard flock. We informed everybody that's around the other backyard growers that we know about, and any other commercial birds to be on high alert. But over here in these commercial birds, because they're so concentrated, we established this zone around those birds, and everything that moves in or moves out is on a regimented sampling program. The eggs, the feed, and all that is monitored, and there's a enhanced biosecurity system that's put into place. So that's the response in both the commercial setting and also in the backyard setting. In this case, with this kind of virus, the avian influenza virus, there is no approved vaccine program in the United States. So there's two parts to that we have to deal with, is that often the birds themselves are pretty sick pretty rapidly. So we move to euthanasia oftentimes to actually stop the dying process. Then secondly is because there's no vaccine approved, they spread that virus once the virus makes its way, which is rare, from the backyard, the migratory birds, the ducks and geese, over into domestic birds who have no immune system to that it moves through those populations pretty rapidly. So since there's no vaccine, And from a humane standpoint, we go ahead and initiate depopulation and to stop the spread of the virus. And that's a great question. I appreciate you asking it that way, because that's one of the key take-home messages from we need to get to your listeners, is that the virus does not transmit through the meat, and it does not transmit through the eggs. It's usually through fecal material or bodily fluids discharged, but usually through droppings. So in the commercial poultry system, sick or dead or dying birds cannot, by law, enter the process. They can't enter the food chain. And on top of that, the properly handled, properly cooked poultry meat and eggs are completely safe. So, and Alabama is the second largest broiler producing state in the nation. We process 21.5 million broilers every week, and we've had one commercial farm affected. So the availability, the supply is not even remotely, not even a drop in the bucket to the production that goes on in Alabama. So the supply is safe, because the virus is not in the meat, and if it's handled and cooked properly, nor in the eggs, then the food supply is also very safe. Yeah, another great question and a great opportunity for us. Wanted to really focus on that key point about the food safety. It is extremely safe, and it's very available. Second point to leave with your listeners is this: that the backyard producers, we want to encourage them to enjoy that. We appreciate them being in and being interested in poultry and poultry production. But one of the things that they really need to be cautious of right now is this thing that we call biosecurity. So biosecurity means that it's very practical. We're not talking about going into a surgery room here. We don't need them to be sterile, but we need them to really be aware that if they go to the feed store, if they go to a poultry gathering, a poultry show, or wherever other birds may be, or they enjoy duck hunting, there's no reason to not do that. And we want the even duck hunters to enjoy the outdoors, enjoy Alabama. But when they participate in that, or they're around other poultry, or they're around places where other people may have gathered, again, feed store, maybe Walmart, before they come back home to their birds, just change clothes. Before you go back into your chicken coop, have dedicated footwear, clean utensils, clean waters, clean drinkers, to change that regularly, disinfect with just normal disinfectant. Clorox is a great disinfectant. Just biosecurity is absolutely critical at this point for the next several months. You can't, this is just not a Band-Aid fix. You gotta implement biosecurity and keep doing it every day. Have dedicated footwear, dedicated overalls or coveralls. When you go off your farm and you come back and go back to where your chickens are, just be extremely careful, practical, clean boots. Don't track the virus into where your birds are. So biosecurity, extremely important this time of the year.